Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, Adam Portrais, and I'm joined by Sean Keenan.
Happy 2018, Heidi.
And of course, Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, and who knew they still made TV shows in LA?
No one does. No one makes those, and if they do, it's always in Vancouver. We always know that. But we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I know some of you have thought, hey, they didn't take a week off, and you know, as far as your feed goes, we didn't, because we like to keep you ensconced in hero movie goodness, and that's why we recorded the episode. So this is our first 2018 episode. I am excited to be back. I believe you boys are as well. We have a jammed-packed program for you today. We are going to be reviewing the first 5 episodes of the HULU exclusive Marvel's Runaways, and I gotta say, I think the word around the campfire is, from what I've seen, people will really dig this show. We're going to find out if we like it, you know? Because let's be honest, the only people that really matter, they're us, right?
And Dolly Parton.
And Dolly Parton. Us and Dolly Parton. Outside of that.
Quickly, tell me what Dolly Parton thinks.
9 to 5.
Did you know she was integral in bringing Buffy the Vampire Slayer to TV?
Okay, let's hear this one. How is what?
Well, you know, Joss Whedon made the movie.
Okay.
And the movie didn't go over as well as he wanted it to.
It was not a giant hit, no.
And then Dolly Parton started this entertainment production thing, looking for shows she could bring to television starring strong females. And she somehow hooked up with, I don't mean hooked up in the hip young folks Netflix and chill sense, but I don't know. I wasn't there. But, you know, you're lucky, Joss, if that happened, because I love Dolly. But anyway, so Dolly and Joss Whedon got together and made Buffy the Vampire Slayer happen on TV.
That's what I've learned today. Thank you, Bruce.
Don't you expect, well, anyway, I just think they should have made Sarah Michelle Gellar wear like a padded bra just in honor of Dolly.
I envision Bruce like Steve Buscemi just going, "Hi, young kids."
Hello, fellow teens. I think that's
exactly. I couldn't remember the exact line. "Hello, fellow teens." That is so Bruce with that one. It's like, just as the vernacular goes. But, yes, so we will be talking not about that. Now that's in my brain. Okay, but let's do this. Before we get going, we need to open up the old H&P mailbag. Been a while here.
Bale's here.
Now, every now and then, folks come to us for advice, and, you know, we do what we do around here, and that's dispense the best darn advice one could possibly give. This one is actually asking about something that's a little bit far out, but I think that we can kind of give our verdict here. And you two gentlemen, having had children, Bruce, your kids are still a little bit on the younger side. Sean, your children are grown at this point, but I think we can be of help here. Even me, with no children of my own, I still believe I can help. If that's what, you know, sure.
Of course you can.
So this one comes to us from Maria from upstate New York. Hey guys, so my kid really wants to see Black Panther, simply because he loves the Panther from the Jungle Book. My little guy is going to be 6 in March and loves Godzilla. I don't mind him watching PG-13 movies, pending content. He has seen the trailer and poster of Black Panther and is super excited to see it. Here's my dilemma. He has never seen a superhero movie all the way through at home, and this would be his first in the theater. I also know nothing regarding the character and keep forgetting to Google it. So my question to you, in your opinion, is this a good one for younger kids, especially ones that have not seen a superhero movie in the theater? Thanks, you guys. Maria from upstate New York. Parenthetical, it's so cold here.
Now, how old did she tell us? Is it Donovan? Is that the little
Yeah,
one's
so
name?
Donovan's going to be 6 in March.
Well, you know, my youngest was going to see Marvel movies probably around 4.5, and sometimes it'd fall asleep, sometimes it'd make it through the whole thing, but there's nothing that's not appropriate for the age, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. So here's the thing, Maria, is that if you're trying to bake in the nerdiness on your kid, you're going to have to bite the bullet. Your kid is going to see a couple of superhero movies, and he's either going to fall asleep or he's going to get super bored. But he will remember this as a really good memory. And so what's going to continue happening is that he will want to keep going to these movies. Now, that's up to you, and that's up to your husband too. Do you want Donovan to be the kid that you have to continuously take to the movies when the new one comes out, or do you set the precedent? We're going to watch this at home. So that's basically what you have to do. I will tell you the magic number, it seems to be, for children watching movies like this is 7. And I don't know why it's 7, but with my kids, I took them to movies early on because I wanted to bake in the nerdiness right away. But that meant work for me because they're going to get bored. They're going to ask you stuff that like where you might not know the answer to it, but you do your best. But these will be the times that where your kid literally goes, now that is a great memory, and they'll latch onto it, and that will be who he's going to turn into, basically. So it's up to you, really. And
also, if you have the option, go to the first showing of the day. That's where there are going to be other kids close to his age, and that's where he's going to be more awake. And also, it always helps to get him 2 cups of coffee and a lot of sugar beforehand.
Now, I don't think you guys may have a different opinion on this. And now, I granted, it is a little bit extra, but sometimes I've noticed this with my niece and nephew. If you, especially when they're younger, if you did like the 3D thing, at least that would be something that would kind of keep them engaged for long enough to where they may not, like if a big dialogue scene or something comes up, they may get bored of something like that. But if it's 3D, at least a little something's going on that they can kind of, especially if they've never seen it before, just kind of dart around looking at everything. It's a thought. I don't know. I'm throwing it out there just as
it depends on the kid. My youngest can't handle the glasses because he can't keep his hands off of them. That he gets fingerprint smudges on him. That he's whining about how it doesn't.
Yeah.
Same
thing.
Good point.
Same thing happened with mine. My oldest kid hates 3D.
So it's sadly you were at a trial and error situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of choice for you. If you want Donovan to be the type of kid that is going to ask you, because Black Panther is not where it's going to end. It's going to continue on with other superheroes, because he's definitely going to want to see Avengers. So, and that comes up in 2 months. So, like, you have to decide what sort of child and what sort of parent you want to be.
And I think it's going to be good because it's going to be nice and colorful and stuff. So that should be.
No matter how much he likes Black Panther, don't be the parent that takes him to Deadpool 2.
Yeah,
definitely not.
And believe me, there were parents that brought children of that age to see Deadpool, and I'm shaking my head, going like, "You were an awful parent." I don't like judging other people's parentage, but you can look at some people and just go like, "You're probably not the best of parents."
My oldest asked to go. She was like, "Is it too weird if we go see Deadpool?" I was like, "Look, you're going to be as uncomfortable as I am, but sure." and at the time she was 18, 19. So we saw it together. It was very uncomfortable in moments. But
I had major rift with my 9-year-old. He's 10 now, but he was 9 when he wanted to see Deadpool, and dropping the old foot down really bummed him out, but he just didn't get it. That just because, he likes all the cool Deadpool backpacks and stuff, that he can't go watch that movie.
Yeah.
He has to wait.
Imagine.
I told him 11, then I'll let him see it.
Now,
that's good.
Drawing boundaries. But like, how old's the one that just loves the horror films at this point?
That's the 10-year-old.
See,
he's first audition yesterday too, but not for a horror.
That kid, oh my gosh, that kid sees some hardcore stuff. He's like, oh yeah, he saw that. And I'm like, what now? For real?
After his audition yesterday, we rewarded him by taking him to see Insidious 4.
That was going to be my next question. I'm like, has he seen Insidious yet? And I knew the answer would probably be yes. So Maria,
that's great.
Roll some dice, baby. That's just kind of how it works. So
you spent 5 hours learning to sing Gary, Indiana. You can go to a scary movie.
Hey man, Gary, Indiana. Hey man, I personally love Music Man more than any other musical. I'll say it right here, right now.
76 trombones agree.
Indeed. We do have another piece of feedback, but this one here is a voicemail. Now, I know it's been a while for us because we had the little Christmas break there for us and everything in our recording laps, but that doesn't mean that they can't comment on other programs. So let's take a listen, shall we?
Hello to Adam, Bruce, and Sean. I'm a little behind in my sending this, but I wanted to thank you three for such great coverage of The Last Jedi. It was great to hear your insights and thoughts about a movie that didn't fit into a lot of fan expectations, but instead brought something new and fresh to that world rather than putting itself into the box that Lucas seemed to have shoved his universe. I loved the movie so much, and it was flat out annoying to see some people judge a movie against what they had headcanoned, rather than watching the movie and seeing it as a chance to expand a universe. Seeing the little kids at the end, the next generation of Jedis and generals, was a lovely coda of Rian Johnson's tale, that even if the mission doesn't accomplish a goal, it might spark something more important down the line. Basically, thank you guys for judging the movie for what it was, and what it was intended to be, rather than some arbitrary line in the sand that so many other sites and podcasts decided are for the, quote, real fans. It's why I'm an HNP patron, to support a podcast that gives clear, well thought out, sometimes humorous, and well-researched analysis of the material as it is. You know, except for Bruce talking about the Punisher series on Netflix.
Oh, snap.
But that's why there are other podcasts for that show, including one where HMP executive producer Jim Beverly provided his personal insight and experience to analyze the material. If only I could remember the name for that show. All the best and Happy New Year to my favorite gentleman and Adam, Krista.
I'm no gentleman. I think we all know that.
I'm just glad she didn't call me out for being in the wrong about the whole argument she had with me on Kingsman, the Golden Circle, because in retrospect, I was definitely on the wrong side of that argument.
Hey, you know, we can all have mistakes every now and then, Bruce. It's okay. But yeah, check out Chris's podcast. It's on the I'm forgetting the name off the top of my head. She's going to murder Unspoiled. There's another one. There's an something else with their other thing. So there's like another one that's like Undeclared. That's not about the show Undeclared. So I get them all mixed up because I'm what we call simple.
It's unspoiled and undocumented, maybe.
Unspoiled, undocumented, and untarnished and unvarnished. So that's. I want
to see something that's unvarnished, man.
There's no varnish to that one. That was my favorite Ernest actor, Jim Varnish.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Why did I know that?
Just a whole podcast about the life that was Jim Varney.
Oh man, you say that, I'd make that a show. I would make that a show in a second. Let's close.
I think we've proven that we can do dumber podcast ideas than that.
You're not wrong there. Well, let's close up the old HMP mailbag here.
Fails here.
But yeah, I think I'm excited. I'm excited to see what she's going to do with that podcast. And Jim Beverly, of course, having some time in the service himself, going back and forth. It should be interesting to see what he has to say about that. Always lovely to see executive producers going out there and get some stuff done. Speaking of people that get stuff done, we also want to thank Walter G for jumping up a new latest $5 patron at patreon.com/HMP. We really appreciate that. We had a couple people drop out at the beginning of the year, completely fine. They told me ahead of time. They were very apologetic, and I'm like, no. Don't you apologize. Don't you worry about it. Things happen. Stuff fluctuates. But, hey, I always say, if someone coming off is a chance for someone else to come on, and we thank people, like Walter who jumped on there and threw in another $5. We really appreciate that and appreciate all you guys. You get pre-show, post-show, extra shows, all that kind of good stuff. Head on over to patreon.com/HMP for more details on that, man. But let's get into it. We've belabored the point for a little while here. Let's go ahead and listen to the trailer for Marvel's Runaways.
Hey, Nico. I've been wanting to talk to you all day. I wanted to get everybody back together. And I know that it can't be like it was. The truth, I miss you guys.
I could build a big machine.
I hope you're right about this not being a big deal.
The last thing they're interested in is what their parents are doing.
You gonna let us in?
Where are they?
Why is my mom's purse here?
What kind of charity meeting is this?
None of our parents are who we thought.
Something really weird is going on.
I have so many questions.
No matter what we are, we can't let our parents keep getting away with this stuff.
We cannot let anyone undermine what we're doing.
We're gonna need another sacrifice.
These kids are living on borrowed time.
We have to stop this. No one else will.
Distracted around you. Look at me, yeah, I'm a
All right, that was the trailer for Marvel's Runaways. Our first 5 episodes we'll be reviewing today. Here's the IMDb plotline. After discovering their parents are possibly supervillains in disguise, a group of teenagers band together to run away from their homes in order to atone for their parents' actions and to discover the secrets of their origins. Now, despite it having Marvel in the title there and everything, I think there may still be a few people out there that don't realize this came from comic books. And so we do what we do around here. Well, we find the cue to clip. Here it is.
It's time for Bruce's Comic Book Connection.
There we are. Bruce, what do you got for us this week?
The Runaways was a comic written by Brian K. Vaughan all the way back in 2003. Now, Vaughan is probably best known for Y: The Last Man, an excellent comic that tackles solid story elements in interesting ways. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about that, you can go back around 2 to 3 years in the Heroes and Villains feed and find the appropriate episode with special guest Sean, the second to last man, Keenan.
Hey!
Now, he gets to talk about things that never come up on this show. For some reason, things like Shakespeare, gender roles in government policy, and extinction level events don't come up here. But boy, I really feel like I'm selling that other podcast as a real laugh riot, aren't I? Anyway, Sean is also the only guest who straight up told me I was wrong. So that's all the more reason to go check that one out. But anyway, back to the Runaways. Contrary to popular belief, Runaways was the name of the comic, not the team. Though later writers, editors, etc., seem to miss that memo. And I think that makes sense, but group of friends don't give themselves a team name. Well, off mic, Adam, Sean, and myself refer to ourselves as the Hungry Hippos, but we're the anomaly. Also, the kids don't get caught up in superhero code names. Now, once again, Adam's alter ego of Captain Belly Rubs is an anomaly. But The Runaways is a cool story about a group of kids who spy on the parents and find out they are time-traveling mad scientists, dark wizard crime bosses. And to think I was bummed at the time I found out my uncle was in Amway. Now, despite being a darn good comic, it was canceled after 18 issues. Of course, this freed up Vaughn to focus on Yorick, so it wasn't all bad. Now, Runaways was originally part of Marvel's Tsunami imprint, intended to capture younger readers who were drawn to manga. Though, if you ask me, Tsunami is kind of an insensitive name, but what do I know about sensitivity? I wrote a book with a black kid that grew up in a junkyard without knowing who his fathers, yes, plural, were. By the way, he'll be known as Lil Still in the sequel. I've made that decision.
Good.
Wizard magazine called The Runaways one of the best original concepts from Marvel in 30 years, because no one in comic books had ever thought of superpowered kids with evil parents before. But in all fairness, the comic subverted or outright avoided most of your superhero tropes. No costumes, no code names, more females than males. At one point, they only had one male member on the team. Maybe you could call him the last man. Anyway, it was cool, different, and good. Any two of those things make a comic worthwhile, and Vaughn had the trifecta. He worked on a screenplay for several years, but a movie never happened. Now, through the magic of HULU, but sadly with the absence of Vaughn in a creative role, the comic has come to the small screen rather than the large one. Also, Go read Why the Last Man if you haven't yet. They may make a TV show about that soon.
They're planning on it. They're giving it their darndest over there.
Yeah, they are. You know, I've read every single issue of Runaways. I loved that book when it came out. As weird as it was.
Did you read the Tsunami single issues though?
No, I read everything in trade.
Yeah, me too. Because I just like Tsunami. I just sort of at the time rolled my eyes and said this isn't for me. Later on, though, I discovered this in trades.
Yeah, I have the little digest-sized books at my house until Joss Whedon takes over and then it becomes a regular-sized book, which the OCD in me was really, really upset about at the time.
Now, do you think there's a possibility, and I could be wrong, I got to get my time frame right in my head here, but wasn't like on Cartoon Network, wasn't Toonami like a big thing at the time where like late at night the Cartoon Network would show anime and stuff like that, and could that be a riff off of that, basically trying to get that kind of audience in?
Well, Toonami was definitely many people's introduction to anime, but I guess Tsunami, I mean, it doesn't take a lot of creativity. You've got a room full of white guys that know 2 Japanese words, one sushi and one tsunami, and they don't want to call their comic book sushi.
Well, we're calling it tsunami. Let's order some sushi. All right, boy, we are a diverse crowd here, aren't we?
Pretty sure
five.
Cartoon Network started with cartoon sushi and then changed it to tsunami.
When I got in here and I saw this bunch of ragtag group of hooligans, I said, "No, sir, we're changing to tsunami instead of sushi."
So Adam, did you even know about Runaways? Did you know anything about it?
I remember seeing it on the stands. So 2003, I am at film school at this point, so like I don't have a ton of money, and what little bit of money that I do have to spend on comics, I'm usually just going, your straight superhero stuff, the stuff that I'm used to. And you got to remember, this is also the time where Jim Lee just jumped in on Batman, so I was like really all about that.
And right. I mean, you're probably
aware
too at the time. You're not interested in the Tsunami title because you think it's a gimmick and that nothing good's going to be in it.
Well, I mean, I'd seen it, but and I was just like, oh, okay, well, that's a thing. There's a little dinosaur. All right, rock and roll. Moving on.
There were two titles that interest me from this line because I love Brian K. Vaughan at this point, so I was going to pick up anything he was writing. And the other thing was the kid with the Sentinel, Sentinel, I think is what it was called. Sentinel, where it was a kid who had reprogrammed a Sentinel robot to do his bidding, and it was awesome. That was another Tsunami book, I believe.
Huh.
Oh, cool, man.
Unaware. Huh? Very cool.
Yeah, I always felt like some of those Big Hero 6 storylines would have fit in under that imprint too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that would have been a good call by them. But at that point they were trying to figure it all out, and I think they did it. They did a good job.
Marvel in 2003 wasn't the Marvel we would have 10 years later either.
No, Marvel in 2003 just decided, hey, let's take all these Wolverine books and give them the most god-awful covers we've ever seen in our entire lives, but have this beautiful artwork on the inside. Therefore, I wouldn't want to pick it up because you'd look at that cover and just go like, oh, gross, I'm not reading that. You pick it up and you're like, what is this gorgeous art inside? What the? It's very confusing.
Now, could you guys ever tell that this was brought to us by the folks that produced the OC?
Yes,
I could see that. I could see that.
And I didn't know that, but it makes sense.
And the show is sponsored by like the LA Tourism Board or something, so it's something actually filmed in LA, which is weird to me because I'm so used to things not being filmed in LA anymore.
Well, it's Runaways. The book is so LA based. It makes sense that they're shooting that show in LA, which means that finally someone in LA is working.
Shot across the bow.
Yeah.
But no, and here's the thing though, like a lot of it kind of makes sense when you have like, the religion started up and everything that's, like way off the beaten path. That's more like the celebrity type, religion sort of deal. That kind of makes sense. The super hippie-ish kind of parents and whatnot. And so a lot of it makes sense for, what's going out there. I mean, you could put it in, Portland or something, but it works better here.
Yeah, for sure.
It's an LA show that's filmed in LA, which is kind of, different. It seems so sunny too compared to how everything else is lit. Like even at night, it seems like you can tell it's sunnier there than it is. Now, did you guys know that the official stance of Marvel Studios is that this does take place in the MCU?
Really?
I did not know that, but that would make sense because they are like kind of trying to breach that line, where
it doesn't MCU to me at all, though. I can't picture this world being the same one that's in the Netflix world or the big screen world.
To be fair, we don't have anything West Coast in those things, though, for the most part, really. Not like proper like this.
Now,
much like the books.
Some people have pointed out, though it's a different actress, there is an Asian woman kind of in the background of Doctor Strange that is supposed to be Nico's mother.
Same actress.
I thought it was a different actress. Is it the same actress? I don't know.
The same actress.
I'm going to back off before one of us looks bad here. But it may not have been the same actress. But it is supposed to be the same character, though her name's never spoken.
But to get into that for a second, because when we were talking off mic on this, I can't believe how much the screen talent on the show looks like the artwork in the books. It is insane.
Nailed it, man. They nailed the look. That's what got me to give it a chance, because a Hulu only show I wouldn't have been so interested in. Let's just be honest. Inhumans and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. haven't been my favorite shows, though Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has had some better moments. What got me on was just when I saw like the side-by-side promo photo that they have of a Runaways cover next to the cast photo. And my socks were literally knocked off by that. In particular, man, Alex Wilder, who had just not too long ago popped up in Power Man and Iron Fist.
Which, when you told me that, I couldn't believe it. I love when these characters show up in different places because the book's been gone for so long. And as I said, I do love these characters. And so, and also that's the other thing in the books. They are not afraid to kill off a bunch of people in the book. So it was always interesting because it was like, oh, we're not going to go back to one this next issue. Like, these characters are dead. And so when they show up in other books, it's like, oh, wow, that's great, because they're kind of like the expendable characters in Marvel for some reason.
And, the idea that this is in the MCU makes me wonder what might be in play in the future, because this show has, I think, a strong possibility of catching a particular fandom that could make, if nothing else, just like a brief pop-in by somebody relevant. Here's
something, man, because I see this. They are showing the Runaways ads, like singular, separate, not like a pre-roll for YouTube, but like an actual hey, we're promoting Runaways trailers for the upcoming show each week for the upcoming show as regular videos in Hulu in YouTube. So
really, on YouTube?
On YouTube, they are making this, because I've seen it, because I had not looked up anything related to this, prior to this show or anything, but I had been seeing Runaways, essentially trailers for the next show as regular videos being put in kind of either trending or hey, recommended sort of stuff. So I think they're putting some money behind this, and or kids are digging it.
And I don't know. I don't know the inside baseball on how Netflix financials actually work out per se, but if this show does get a good following and a good fandom, I could see Hulu being the place for future streaming shows for Marvel rather than Netflix. Well, I think they're already contractually obligated for the characters that are there now, but I think future shows might be more likely to show up on Hulu.
More than likely.
A couple of reasons.
Well, yeah, I was about to say the biggest reason would be, if in the Netflix the Disney and Fox deal goes through, and I think Disney, if they're smart, will make Hulu their primary source for everything, since they've already got a base.
Disney will become the majority owner
exactly
of Hulu.
So
and there's ad revenue on Hulu, which is something that doesn't exist on Netflix.
So I would put that there if they're smart.
Yeah, the one side that I don't understand is I don't know just how much production money Netflix gives Disney to produce those shows. So that would be the flip side of the coin. But I could see, if this one does as well as I think it's going to do, Hulu could be the place for Marvel streaming.
Possibly. Now, with this show and everything, because now me being the most unfamiliar with stuff, how does this kind of tag up to the book here? I mean, as far as closeness and stuff, obviously from a visual standpoint, when you look at it, they got pretty spot on here. How is the story in comparison? Thus, these first 5 episodes. Compare?
I'll give you my take, and I'll let Sean kind of close in, because I think Sean has read more of these issues than I have, and I think Sean has actually enjoyed more of these issues than I have. I think he's a bigger fan of the property. But the way that I would describe it is it's very feel-alike, though it's not the same. You know, like how you can hear a song that kind of feels like another song, though it's not necessarily mimicking another song. I would call this very feel-alike. Like it feels like the Runaways, but it's not a direct translation. Is that a fair thing to say, Sean, or am I way off?
That's perfect. They got the mood, not the plot. That's the exact way to put it, man. Like the show itself, you know, the plot beats in the book are so vastly different than what's happening on the show. Like, to give you an example, the first story arc in the books, everyone dies at like in the first story arc. All the parents are dead. And so that's why it's called Runaways, because they're literally on the run because the police are blaming the kids for the parents' murder. And so that's why they're on the run. But with all that being said, it doesn't matter. Like this show is going to go in a very, very different direction than the books go. And as long as they keep surprising me and the scripts are great, I don't care. Like this show is one of the shows that I look forward to. Oh, sweet, there's another episode on. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Something I'll say, maybe because it's a television show rather than a comic, you know, the medium is different, that it's taken a different approach. But this show feels really character driven and less plot driven or less story driven. It's taking its time to unfold the story in a way you can if you want people to buy that second comic sometimes, because you only got 22 pages in a comic.
Yeah. Unless, but at the same time, you say that, but at the same time too, like when you have something that's like established, something that I always kind of point back to when things are doing like that is like, you know, when Ultimate Spider-Man first ran, you know, it's like 9 issues before, you know, Peter Parker puts on a Spider-Man costume, right? So
yeah, but it's still got Spider-Man in the title, who has, you know, at that time, 30 plus years of history.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. But like, I think we're in a different world now to where we can let that kind of breathe a little bit. Especially with something like this that I don't think, while still under the auspices, I believe, of ABC television, doesn't have to do that sort of thing anymore. And I'm certainly hoping that we can get more away from that to just go like, hey, you have to fill these 22 pages. And like Stan Lee said, every book is somebody's, you know, first book.
First book, yeah.
You know? And
also there's a difference when you're waiting a month for a book versus, you know, streaming, where you can watch a lot of episodes instantaneously or at most wait a week. But because this is character driven and the story is taking its time to unfold, which I don't have a problem with when it's done well. I'm not saying that as a negative, but I think one good approach would be to maybe start off, and it might even fill the whole show, but let's talk about these characters, man. I kind of wanted to break them down one at a time. The parents are kind of coupled up, but I think the place to start is with Alex Wilder, man. I mean, we've already established that they all look so much like their comic equivalents, and I think out of all of them, Alex is the one that would have been most difficult to nail, and they did it perfectly. I think this actor, Adam, you should appreciate this, but I could feel this actor fitting in perfectly in the movie Dope. I'm sure you've seen that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I could see him kind of fitting in there with that sort of L.A. scene and everything. Yeah. I like it. Alex Wilder's only superpower is great hair and the ability to look good in glasses. I like that about the kid.
Well, in the books, he's a master tactician also. But
yeah, but that's one of those, like, man, you know, on Heroes and Villains, I see that listed as a power so many times, and it's like, come on, master tactician. That just means they won. They won because they're the hero of the comic.
That means I have to come up with a way to win things and be the best at them, because if I didn't, I would stink.
There'd be no book.
And in the comics, he did get sent to like the Young Avengers Academy or whatever before he, you know, went to hell and became possessed by a demon and then became a villain. But that's, you know, hopefully that won't happen until season 2 on the show.
at least season 2.
Imagine him showing up on Netflix, though. Alex Wilder is the villain when they finally make a Heroes for Hire show.
Man, that would be awesome.
But it's a relatively new actor. I think all these actors are relatively new. I mean, the kids, not the adults.
Yeah.
But I think all the kids are relatively new. The only thing I saw was that this fellow was in a couple episodes of MTV's Teen Wolf, and that's it. And I think that also makes it easier for us to see them as the comic character and not a character they played in some previous recognizable role.
Yeah.
Well, they did. You're right about that. They did a really good job with that, because they have actors on this show who clearly, you know, have been working, but not in such high profile cases where you're like, oh my God, that's that person. And James Marsters, I didn't even recognize him until like probably the 4th or 5th episode, where it's like, oh, holy crap, that's Spike.
Oh man, we'll be getting back to James Marsters, man.
I didn't recognize him for the first couple of seconds, and I was just like, "Boy, this guy looks awful familiar, doesn't he?" Oh,
I followed James Marsters' career, so I knew him instantly.
Oh,
Nico, man, what do you guys think about Nico?
I think that she is exactly who that character. Like, if that person existed in real life,
yeah,
I think that she would instantly behave like that. I have a problem with a couple of things in this show, and one of the things is that Nico and Carolina and those two specifically. Let's narrow it down to those two, right? Those two. It doesn't matter what those two are into. There will be people who are into the same thing that they're into because those are very pretty girls. It doesn't matter how crazy they are. It doesn't matter how lonery they are. They are going to want to hang out with those girls. I would do that in high school. Every red-blooded American boy who is a straight boy would absolutely give it the college try.
Now, something about the actress that plays Nico, I did want to point out, her voice is a little gravelly, and it kind of reminds me of Miley Cyrus, the voice.
That's where it is. I'm sitting there trying to figure out, I'm just like, her voice sounds kind of familiar. Where am I saying? And you're right. She kind of does have that sort of raspy Miley Cyrus bit. You're right.
Especially, with my daughter, when she was younger, I saw some late seasons of Hannah Montana, and Miley Cyrus, even now she still has it, but she's old enough that I can come up with explanations for it. But both the Nico and Miley Cyrus have a voice that's just too gravelly for a woman of that age.
I like it.
Linda Vaccaro voice.
I like it though. I think it's super.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying
unique.
That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, man, why does she looks nothing like Miley Cyrus? Why do I keep thinking of Miley Cyrus? And then finally I caught on it was the voice. And a younger Miley kind of had sort of like chipmunk cheeks, and Nico's cheeks are full. So maybe there was some similarities there, but I think it's all the voice. Now, Sean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but in the comics, Nico, in order to call the staff, had to cut herself or hurt herself, right? That was she was a little too goth in the comics, perhaps.
A little bit, but they are showing you that in the show because every time that the person touches, there's a pinprick in the handle. Because they keep putting their thumb in their mouth like they just prick their finger.
Interesting. I didn't pick up on that.
It has happened every single time somebody picks up the staff.
Her
mom included.
And I think officially the name of it's the Staff of One, but I don't think we've heard that on the show yet. I don't know anything else to say about Carolina. It's such a archetype, Southern California, blonde, nice girl. She's the Betty Cooper, I can't think of anything else to call her. She's a real Betty, if I can quote all that hip, clueless slang.
Well, there's a bunch of stuff with her. I think that they've really, really gone out of their way to show you how unpopular this girl is. But as I stated earlier,
she's the kind of girl.
Not matter.
Back in the high school days, she was the kind of girl that actually got guys like me and Sean to go to church.
Exactly. You know what? I think I'll figure. I think I want to go to the Church of Gomorrah.
Yeah.
I
keep wanting to call it the Church of Gorditos because I can't remember the name. But
come on down to Taco Bell's Church of Gorditas.
And Adam already nailed it. That church is clearly a surrogate for Scientology.
All day
got the alien mythology, which is a little too true in the comics, and I suspect will be on the TV show. But I don't know, Adam, as somebody who's less familiar, what do you think of her solar powers?
Again, it's another one of those, at least at this point through the first 5 episodes, they did at least kind of give the almost Jubilee sort of action of okay, you got some lights there. Well, good for you.
Dazzler.
I think
exactly, Dazzler. That's a better one even.
If not the first time, then at least the second time she showed off her powers, I honestly out loud said, why couldn't Power Pack have had something like this? Because that would have fit in real well. Get this kind of production quality, this kind of kids to do a Power Pack reboot. I think I'd find it mildly amusing.
Well, with Carolina around, at least it's going to be, at least Friday nights are always disco nights, so we've got that going for us.
Well, there's also something to be said for you have people of age playing high school kids, so that you don't have the weirdness of a 44-year-old man watching the show going, oh, she's got a little something there, that one. if you're watching Power Pack and saying that something terrible has happened.
It's not good.
Yeah, I do like the 90210 style of casting where, they cast a 27-year-old to play a high school kid and a 28-year-old to play his mom. I like that idea.
Well, that is the way of the future.
I don't know anything else about Carolina. I feel like she is, and I mean the pun fully when I say she's the vanilla character.
Oh, for sure.
Gert, man. Now, Gert, this riot girl that has the link to Old Lace, which is the name of the dinosaur that I don't think they've mentioned yet on the show. But, man, now out of all these characters, and we've talked about, Carolina could have gotten guys like me and Sean to go to church, and Nico with her Miley Cyrus singing voice, and I don't care how much black she wears, I would still be into My Chemical Romance if I got to sit next to her at lunch, and Alex Wilder, really cool. But Gert is the person I feel like I have actually known in real life. Like, out of all the characters on the show, Gert is the one that I've probably had more than one friend or acquaintance who could be Gert. In fact, one of them would be a pretty good guest on this show if she'd ever come on. But Gert is the one I feel like I know in real life.
I'm not going to lie to you. I sit here, like, at the beginning of this program, I'm like, I am going to hate this character. And I don't.
No.
Thank goodness they put it out to where, like, she has her little moments and stuff like that, but it's not something that's going to get on your nerves, which I was so happy about because I'm like, I don't want to hate this girl. She looks nice enough. Don't make me hate this girl. And they didn't, and I was happy about that.
And I like all kinds of portrayals. I definitely appreciate diversity in TV shows, but there's something that makes me like the idea that Gert is the sex positive feminist, because I've known a few people like that. Like, she's definitely wants to bring down the patriarchy, but at the same time, she takes advantage of X-ray goggles. When
she's like, well, he cute though, so that's okay.
like that is the people I know in real life would totally have pulled the Gert with the X-ray goggles. Not necessarily with me, but with somebody who might have more to look at. Like you know what I mean.
To get back to your original statement here, where you definitely have known somebody like Gert, so have I. I've known that exact person. I mean, exactly. To the point where the parents are almost the exact same as Gert's parents are, which we can get into in a minute because I've got a lot to say about those parents.
Yeah.
However, I also knew Nico because when I am in college, that is when goth is full blown.
Yeah.
And so you're gonna have some Asian girls who are getting into the goth stuff, and so those two girls there, those are the ones that I went to school with for sure.
Yeah, in college, the Nico that I knew had a purple streak in her hair, so that made her a little different, but pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Now, ever since we were in elementary school, we have been asking our friends, and our friends have been asking us, if you could have one superpower, what would it be? And only like once I viewed this show, did it become clear to me that if I could have one superpower, I'd like to have an empathic link to a dinosaur. From this day forward, that is the only correct answer. And you also have to admit that genetically engineering a dinosaur is a pretty darned creative approach to home security. Way better than ADT.
And to keep it behind a big giant, sub door, I think that also defeats the purpose.
Well, no, you only let it out when you know a threat's approaching.
I like the way that they introduce that too. Like, there's something terrible in the basement. There's something awful in the basement. And then the slow release. And then you find out, oh, she's actually empathic towards Old Lace. And then not only that, but then she can also tell Old Lace, like, no, this is a friend. You don't mess with this person. Like, so, that is all great to me, the way they did that on the show.
What do you guys think of Old Lace? I mean, we'd be remiss discussing all the characters and not talking about Old Lace, because in the comics, she outlasts Gert.
Yeah.
How do you think the dinosaur looks?
I think at times it's fine. I think that they need to use the Jaws approach with Old Lace, because the more you see Old Lace, the more you're like, no, not that. Let's not see
There's
that.
some moments where it's like, oh, sweet. They clearly got something practical in there. And then there's others where it's just like, ooh, boy.
Yeah.
They kept the nose ring. That was one thing I was curious with. They keep the nose ring in Old Lace, and they did do that, which I like.
I was glad for that.
And I don't know, man. I wouldn't have minded if Old Lace was just a little bit bigger.
I love it. I think the way that they approached everything with this character, I guess, is pretty pitch perfect. there's a lot about the show that's off to me, but that is one of the things that I'm like, well, they nailed that for sure.
And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
One thing too, though, that's going to bug me a little bit is people who aren't familiar with the Runaways comic that see this show may think that they're kind of ripping off Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, but this definitely predates the Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. I mean, Devil Dinosaur goes way back to Jack Kirby, but the whole edition of Moon Girl in a similar Gert Old Lace relationship's a new thing.
Well, how many times I have to get people off that ledge?
Yeah, what are you talking about? I don't even get the reference.
Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, current ongoing comic at Marvel.
Oh.
Don't you know anything, Sean? Jeez.
Back when Jack Kirby created Devil Dinosaur, it was Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur. But, back after Secret Wars, they updated it to make it Moon Girl.
Oh, these SJWs are ruining all the good stuff.
First they make Iron Man a woman, and now they make Moon Boy a woman. I'm out after
my daddy grew up with Moon Boy, and I'll be doggone.
What am I going to do with all this Moon Boy merchandise I can't move now?
Look, my moon child piece standing up. You understand?
Yeah, man. So let's talk some parents. Now let's talk.
There's two more kids that you skipped.
There's two more kids.
Let's talk about Chase, man, because this show exists in the same universe as American Pie, a universe in which people actually give a crap about lacrosse.
I know. That's one of the things that makes me crazy.
One of the girls just
in New England. You grew up in New England, Sean. They didn't even care about lacrosse in Connecticut, did they?
Well, look, there are the kids who are totally into lacrosse, and they were the wealthiest kids who were into lacrosse. But it was just them. There wasn't like people hanging out watching lacrosse. There wasn't a thing where like there were like cheerleaders for the lacrosse team.
The hot girl that goes up and defends.
The whole school identity wasn't built around the success of the lacrosse team, and like the star lacrosse player wasn't like the quarterback in every other school in America.
Exactly.
But I do like the nickname Jock Rock.
But at the same time, too, when it is a private school, it would be lacrosse as opposed to football.
No, man. I've lived close enough to private schools that have both to know that football still is what people care about over lacrosse.
Football and basketball always reign supreme.
And then rarely they'll have a good horseshoes team, but other than that.
But to get back to Chase here, so I love the dynamic of this, and I never caught it in the comic book. It was only watching the TV show did I get this. That the jock kid is bullied by his dad, who's a nerd. It's I never caught that reading the book, but that is exactly what it is. And they really hammer it home with this thing. And I love the fact that he's hiding the fact that he is smart so he can be a jock.
I also like the idea that jocks in movies and TV, the star jocks also happen to look like male models because, I went to school where there were star jocks and there were handsome guys that were good at sports, but a lot of times the star jock didn't have to be handsome. You know what I mean? He's the star jock. So he usually had maybe a little bit of mullet going on. He wasn't always like the male model look. And then on the other side of that coin, in movies and TV shows, they make these super handsome high school guys jerks to a lot of people. But what really pissed me off is how they would be handsome and nice oftentimes. Like, why can't they at least be a jerk? I mean, I've got to be me and a jerk. You should have to be a jerk, too.
Now, granted, our football team was not good by any means, but the captain of our football team was like the nicest guy in the world and was good looking. And now he's like, his name's Juwan. He's like a very successful lawyer and everything. Gorgeous wife. And it's just like, how did you do that?
Every time, man. The best player in our basketball team helped me out when I ran out of gas one time. He should have made fun of me and thrown a brick through my car's windshield. Nope. He actually helped me go get gas.
Yep, that's the way it works, man. It's never the star athlete that's the jerk in real life. Never. And
to mildly paraphrase Mitch Hedberg, I used to be a jerk. I'm still a jerk, but I used to be a jerk too.
Amen to that. But this kid is actually English, believe it or not.
Yeah, man. I saw his interviews. I'm also bitter that those English folks can do such good American accents, whereas the three of us really struggle with the British ones.
No. You two do. I'm great.
Me? First of all, if there's anyone who stinks at the accents, we all know it's Bruce. Now let's call it what it is. Don't put this off on me, too.
Spotted dick.
Oh, yeah,
See
perfect.
how good that was?
Perfect.
Just dead on.
Okay,
who turned on the English filter?
Oh man, so Molly, the lone mutant on the team who's finally going through puberty at 16.
But they don't make her. They don't make her a mutant on the show. She's not. In the book, she is.
She's a mutant on the show, even though they don't call her that now. By season 2, they will.
No, man, because there is the accident that happens to her. Oh, sorry, we're not that far in. Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
But I do like it. Now I looked it up, and the actress is only 15, so not 16. But still, they're playing this whole going through puberty at an age where the actress has been dealing with this for a solid 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, that is true.
And then, also worth mentioning that it's Molly Hayes in the comics and Molly Hernandez in the show, which is cool, man. It makes sense. You're going to be in Southern California. Let's spice this up a little bit with some variety here. But even though, sometimes I laugh that, even though she's clearly at the very least a high school sophomore, they're still trying to make her like the little kid of the team.
That is funny. And also, somebody has to get on those eyebrows. Oh, my God. She's a very pretty girl, and those eyebrows are just killing her right now.
But I do like it. They have her wearing the denim. They have her wearing like the denim overalls and putting the wool cap on with the little ears on it. Like I can't get my 12-year-old daughter to go out in public dressed like that.
Dad, I'm not going to look like an idiot
dressing like that.
Yeah. No kid dresses like that.
But she does play the good like little sister role and everything, be it ever so slightly out of place.
Those two actors are great together.
They are.
Gert
they
and
play
Molly.
off.
They are fantastic together.
And Molly, the actress, can't help it that she's 15. She was born when she was born because I like that actress in the role. But I think it would have been really fun to have like the 12-year-old be super strong.
Yeah. Have it be a little kid like in the book.
Yeah. Now we can talk about the parents, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the lawyer and the reformed criminal that are the Wilders, man. First off, just the way that they're portrayed in the show, that mom. The way that mom's character comes across, she really seems like the bitter, career-oriented woman who would meet a religious yet jovial man and get a new outlook on life in a Tyler Perry movie. It's an archetype. It's an archetype, and that's what she is.
I do like the turn that has happened with what's his name, Lucius Wilder?
The father.
Yeah, the father.
Now, I'm only to episode 5, so I may not know what this turn is.
No, well, yeah, it's because I can't remember where episode 5 ends, but his past, right?
I know his past.
Okay.
I know his past, and that's close to the comics. I mean, he was like but he was still involved in organized crime in the comics.
Yeah, I mean, he's a massive head of criminal organization in the books. But I like the turn though, because he is basically a monster on the show who turns once he has a kid, like, and his life turns around.
And it's
a good flip.
I kind of wondered with the show before I saw it. I knew Alex was on the show. I didn't know what the parents looked like. I wondered if they would maybe like have him be from an interracial, parentage or whatever, like have his dad be a white guy to maybe put a twist on it. Because it seems a little stereotypical to have like, the African-American gangbanger turned straight kind of role now. In 2003, maybe people swallowed it better than they do now. But it seems a little on the nose now.
I don't know.
I like that.
I like it too because it also what I like about it is it's also kind of there still in the background to where it's like we've kind of gone through a little reformation ourselves and everything, but that may not have been on the up and up for all this kind of stuff, and we're really trying to be a part with the rest of these people who are pretty much all white for the most part here, and be amongst the upper crust of all this sort of stuff, and heaven forbid that other shoe of our past fall right behind us and everything and ruin everything that we've done so far.
And I'm not giving anything away with this because I don't know, but I would bet dollars to donuts that the mom that Alex's mom takes over later.
She seems like such a strong character for sure.
I totally I don't know, man, because in episode 5 it's the dad that finally brings in the sacrifice that brings the alien back to life.
Right.
But man, let's talk about the Scientology mom. You know, Carolina's mom. First off, I mean, she's the center of this whole pride thing, which is, you know, linked to the church. We later find out that's that church of the, what was it, Gorditos again? Remind me.
Yes,
Gaborium.
Taco Bell presents Church of the Gorditas.
Yeah. But do they CGI those freckles on her, or does she really have?
Oh, she got those.
No, those be her real freckles.
Those are impressive. I don't know how you maintain those so well.
I think it's called being born.
Oh, okay. But yeah, man, I didn't know if those were all real or if they CGI'd those on. But you know that she's definitely out of all these parents, she's the one you really don't want to cross. Like the lawyer mom is intense, but you know, at the end of the day, she's just a lawyer who has a lot of money and can hire tough guys. But you know, this Scientology mom is she's going to have some sketchy stuff up her sleeve as this unfolds.
Listen, except for the what's his face's mom, I ain't crossing none of these moms. Except for like there's two moms, like the hippie mom and jock mom. Those are pushovers. Any of the other moms, I ain't messing with them.
Oh man, well now finally I've been sitting here like squirming in my seat because I can't wait to get to James Marsters. Have I ever told you guys how much I love James Marsters?
You haven't.
Man, I love James Marsters. I absolutely love James Marsters. Spike, you know, far and away my second favorite character from Buffy, which brings us back to Dolly Parton on topic. But I actually thought he was British for the longest time, guys. I embarrassed myself on HMP in the early episodes by saying that I thought James Marsters was British because he was always my first choice to play John Constantine.
Huh.
And lately,
you know, sometimes you just have to learn.
And lately, he's been my choice to play Harry Dresden if any Dresden Files properties ever get made, because he narrates those audiobooks, and it's unbelievable, man.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, James Marsters. I might be one of like 7 people who are crazy for Marsters, but I'm going to get my T-shirts made and send them out to the other 6 soon.
The thing
he's still the best Doctor Doom we've gotten.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so.
It's true.
And he is an Elon Musk type, I guess you'd say, in this show, right? Like he's the tech genius. And of course, money goes with that. But I get the idea he's more of the inventor than the one who gets as filthy rich from it. You know, he's more of an Elon Musk than he is a Steve Jobs type, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
The hair just throws you off. That's the big
more hands-on. Way more hands-on.
But I do love how inept he is at kidnapping.
She was rolling around in the back. I don't know what happened. It's just like, are you joking me, bro?
It's like just a great character trait to kind of introduce out of the blue. I mean, he has her restrained with the gag in the back of a van that is like an open van. It's not like she's in the cargo section where he doesn't know what's going on, and she just disappears and he's clueless. I love that. And then the homeless guy like kicks his butt. He takes a tire iron to a homeless guy and loses the fight.
You know what?
I also love the fact that like he is doing crazy bananas pretty great on this show.
And that's one of his many talents.
I'd love to see him, like the way that he's put up in this, he could be in the a Phil Hartman biopic.
That hair.
That's pretty good.
Take a look at him. He looks very Phil Hartman-esque in this. I dig it.
That is pretty good. That is a pretty good one.
Oh man, he is one of the finest working actors out there. He needs more work. He needs like something high profile again, like he had with Buffy. Maybe there'll be a Buffy revival.
Is it. Maybe this is it, though.
I've never seen Bruce like trying to get invited to a guy's dinner so much in my entire life.
I would like it if one of his inventions like zaps him and he has to speak with a British accent for a couple of episodes.
What?
Because, you know, there is something called foreign accent syndrome with brain injuries that can happen sometimes.
Bruce,
is that what happened with Madonna?
Yes. I would like for that to happen to the character just so James Marsters could break out the old Spike accent again.
I think in a former life, Bruce was like, you know, working with Sid and Marty Krofft.
Hey, he makes a black and white TV that can see the future. It's not that much of a leap to make him speak with an accent.
Agreed.
That's fair.
Agreed.
His twin brother, they were separated at birth, and he comes to town to visit for an episode.
I do love the future TV, and it's just like this thing's broken. It just chucks it so hard. It was very Doc Brown to me. Do you know what this means?
Where would you even get a cathode ray tube monitor like that these days? Like you have to be a billionaire to get your hands on that screen. I mean, because you could get like an iPad, like for her iPad or equivalent for like $150, and he's out with the old. He had to steal that from the set of Legion, I think, is where he got it.
There's a little something called showmanship.
I guess that brings us to the hippie scientist parents, guys.
Oh, and this is where I have a whole lot to talk about.
Okay.
Well, I do feel like I've known that mom a few times over the years because some of my lady PhD science professors were just a little bit like her.
Well, first of all, so Kevin Wiseman, who plays the dad, like he's awesome. I like him in almost everything he does. You know, like he's always good. He was great on Alias. He's great in Clerks 2. He's great in that. And I don't have much to say about him. But who I have a lot to say about is Bridget Branagh.
Let's hear it.
Bridget Branagh plays the mom. Now, Bridget Branagh is an actress who I have worked with before. She worked for years and years on Army Wives, which is a show that I worked on for a million years. And Bridget Branagh is a very nice actress. I mean, she really is. She's a nice person. But this story is going to shed a bit of a bad light on her. So let's keep that in mind. All right. So I have a friend who is a scenic and who works out of Charleston, and she is. At the time, she hung out with Bridget Branagh. She's friends with Bridget Branagh. And my friend one night was like, hey, do you mind if Sean tags along? Like, you know, like he's new in Charleston and it'd be good to hang out and show him the cool places. And Bridget was like, is he cool? and in our circles, what that means is he going to flip out because I'm an actor?
Oh, I thought it meant something to do with the doobie.
No.
I knew that's exactly where Bruce's mind went. It's just like, is he gonna squeal on this?
You got a joint? You'd be a lot cooler if you did.
High five.
So Bridget Branagh asked my friend, is he cool? And my friend goes, yeah, he doesn't care who you are, I guarantee you. And she goes, well, you know, I don't know the guy and I don't know how he's going to behave around me. And finally she goes, look, Bridget, I know that you're a big deal. Sean is pretty famous himself. He might actually be more famous than you are, actually. and Bridget goes, what has he done? And so she tells Bridget what I did and, you know, like my past and all this stuff. And so Bridget immediately goes, well, I don't want to hang out in a place where I'm not the most famous person in the room. So
I ain't playing second fiddle to some guy running around a flipping puppet.
And that's why I spend so much time alone, guys.
And so I did get to hang out with my friend because she was hanging out with Bridget Branagh at the time. And it's one of those moments where like literally for like a year and a half I'm harboring quiet resentment because she doesn't know who I am. I'm just another guy, you know, on the show. And finally, like somebody said something to somebody, and she came up to me one day and she said, you know, I behaved very poorly when our mutual friend was going to hang out, and I'm very sorry for that. And I was like, oh well, you didn't have to say that. She totally did. and so it worked out, you know. And so when I saw her on the show, it was weird because she doesn't look the same. Like, you know, they've really uglied her up on the show because she's a very pretty girl. And when who would have known putting your hair in a bun with glasses on is actually a thing that works. But she so when I saw her on this show, I was like, she looks super familiar to me. So I looked it up. I was like, oh my God, it's Bridget Branagh.
I love that story.
And so that's my story.
Oh man, I love that. Now, the guy playing the dad, what was his name again?
Kevin Wiseman.
And I don't know if you guys have seen like the original Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies, not the recent remake. Or reboot, or whatever you want to call it.
I think I saw the first one.
Because man, he is really, in my opinion, really doing a good job of channeling Steve Zahn's portrayal of the dad in that.
That's not bad.
Which is a compliment, man. I love Steve Zahn almost as much as Tim Zahn.
I love Steve Zahn, man. I think that I don't know what's happened to him, but he is mismanaged. He should be in a lot more.
He needs to call me up. I can get him on some podcasts.
Hey.
Has your podcast career been going down?
Now, the Asian venture capitalists, man, I feel like I've known this married couple a lot. and I don't just mean like the Asian part of it, but it comes into play sometimes. So you've got the tiger mom and the kind of cool dad. Like I've had friends that were like the kind of cool guy who married that tiger mom, and they did, happen to be like Korean, as the case may be. But in my world, when you have an interest in medicine and sci-fi movies where that Venn gram overlaps, you do have a little bit of diversity there. You have me and some Asian dudes too, and stuff like that. So I've hung out in the circles where these guys are totally cool, and man, you meet their significant other, their wife, whatever, and boy, do you feel like you are not welcome in this environment. And she's good at portraying that. The tiger mom, like there was some lady that wrote like the tiger mom's guide to being a parent or whatever, and I like it was a blog or something, and she was an Asian lady, and I think that blog influenced this woman's portrayal. But were they born into money? Like, I don't quite get the story. Maybe the mom's witch powers brought them some money, because they're not the tech geniuses. That's James Marsters. But they need the hippies to do their science, so it's like they're venture capitalists here is what I'm getting.
That's the vibe that I got was venture capital.
Like, I get the idea she was born rich and he was handsome, so she married him.
There's some sort of weird tech thing, because they keep mentioning like, oh, my mom invented this, my mom invented that. Almost like she's the Steve Jobs. Quite frankly.
But I get it that she really is the Steve Jobs. Like somewhere locked up in a room, it's the Woz who really invented everything that she took the credit for or something. Like that's the vibe I get, because they're getting ready to lock up the hippie parents. You get the idea. That's why they had to make a dinosaur, for heaven's sake. oh man. And I got to say, when she took her underpants off at the restaurant, it kind of grossed me out. Like I saw Sharon Stone do that in a movie like 20 years ago, and it grossed me out then.
I got news for you. That's like closer to 25, almost 30 years ago.
Whatever, man. You get the idea. It grossed me out all the way back then, so it's not an age thing. But I just wonder, like, don't these women know they're around food when they're taking off their underwear? I don't care how pretty the lady is. She toots, man. Even if they're quiet ones, she toots. And throwing your underpants on a table is like crop dusting everybody's food with the essence of toot.
Oh my God, Bruce.
Where is
only you? Only you.
Well, just for perspective, imagine how gross it would be if James Marsters yanked out his boxers and sent them across the dinner table.
It's a little different.
I don't know.
Underpants are there for a reason. That's what I'm saying. They're the last line of defense between your E. coli and the world. So leave them in place, and only under the most extreme circumstances should you ever go commando.
Still one of my favorite lines ever. It's like the only thing between us and him is a thin layer of gabardine. Terrible. Oh, well, now that we've got to that part, I don't know what's going on with our world here. Now,
wait, there's one more character I want to talk about, because Sean referenced James Marsters as the best Dr. Doom, but we have another Dr. Doom in this show, don't we?
Yes. This was something that I was not anticipating. I did not know where we got this, like, this old, weird sort of man creature-esque sort of deal, which I think is very cool. I love the design of that. I love the design of the room that's very 2001, end of 2001, right? I dig all that stuff, and then we get Dr. Doom himself coming out there, and I was like, "What? Who? Did not know this."
What's his name? Julian McMahon.
Julian McMahon, yeah.
Yeah, Ed McMahon's son, believe it or not.
Yes. I love how he just lets it lie. He's just like, nope, we're just going to see what the rest of the boys do with that one. Clearly it's a bold-faced lie, but I'm just leaning on into it.
Vince McMahon's twin brother.
Fair enough. From Australia.
And wasn't there a quarterback in Chicago named McMahon? What was his first name?
Jim.
Yeah, Jim McMahon. Yeah. And Vince McMahon had a brother that nobody knew about named this guy.
Named Julian. There you go. It makes nothing but sense, I says.
The triplets that were born from Ed McMahon.
But I'm interested to see where it goes. I like him coming in there, and it also gives a little bit of backstory here as to why she's not kind of digging on her husband. And I'm interested to see where that goes in the next couple of episodes, because she's like, she was teasing him along here and just goes, no, you're going to become Ultra. And automatically we think he's going to be that sacrifice. But doesn't which I like. I love that as an idea of just saying like, hey, here's what we're obviously going to do. And then they just go, no, that's not what we did at all. And so we know for, I guess we do know for sure. I was thinking maybe that was a little trick where we don't find out until later who the actual sacrifice was. Like we might find out that the kid that got shot in the shoulder died and couldn't work and they still used the husband, but I guess
that's not possible.
No, they let us know, but it's interesting, and I'm it's enough for me to kind of keep going on and saying, hey, I dig where the show is going. I think they lay it out well enough for everybody to kind of get a good idea of what could be going on. And like I said, I'm only 5 episodes in right now of the full 10. But teaser, I think we're going to be covering more of these not too awful long. Now, before we do that, though, and get to the end of this episode, we do have to ask ourselves one fine, important question. How does this television show relate back to Sylvester Stallone?
Why, thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement.
Wow.
There's some dudes in Hollywood that have awesome names. Johnny Knoxville, Tom Selleck, Don Johnson. Awesome. You know who else has an awesome name? Kip Pardue. He's the guy who plays Carolina's father. But I don't need to tell you that because Kip Pardue is so famous that anyone watching it said, holy crap, it's Kip Pardue. Now, look, at this point, Kip Pardue is in the mouths of schoolyard kids everywhere, so there's facts we can skip past because they've reached the public zeitgeist. Things like Kip Pardue played football for Yale, and even my mom knows that one. Kip Pardue was discovered by Molly Ringwald's publicist, blah, blah, blah. He hasn't spoken to his father since his parents divorced when he was 11, yada, yada, yada. It's all so basic. But I bet you didn't know that Kip is an acronym of his actual name, Kevin Ian Pardue.
Ooh.
That's some deep dive Pardue triv high five. Sure. Everyone knows about his breakthrough performance as Ben in the TV movie The Nightmare Nanny. But did you know that Kip Pardue actually wrote the movie Glitterati? He did. And you're welcome. Now, a lot of people will tell you that the greatest tragedy that happened in 2001 happened on 9/11, but I was there. I remember. And I can tell you that April 27th of 2001 was almost as bad. That's when the movie Driven was released. For you ancient peers who were too young to remember, we all had to figure out how we were going to move forward after 4/27. I remember watching a video of President George W. Bush sitting in front of an elementary school class. An aide walked up to him, whispered into his ear that the movie Driven had been released. And he sat there for what seemed like minutes. Now, Kip Pardue probably has many regrets in his life, but I'll bet if you ask him, being in the movie Driven is probably at the top of his list. I bet Kip Pardue wishes he never took that call from Sylvester Stallone, the son of famous Glow wrestling manager Jackie Stallone. I bet Kip Pardue probably also wishes that Leonardo DiCaprio had taken the role instead, who Stallone wanted to play the Jimmy Bly role in the first place. Can you imagine that world? After Titanic, DiCaprio takes the role of Driven, and instead of Scorsese using DiCaprio as a go-to actor, he goes with Kip Pardue instead? Crazy world. But then who's going to play Davis in the Holiday Road Trip? Or Carter in Hostel Part 3? I'm glad that things worked out the way they did, and with the exception of Kip Pardue, I'm sure everyone else is too. So there you have it, HMPers, this week's Stallone Connection. Now, Frank and Frank Sr., let's review the first half of Runaways and decide if we're going to watch the second half of Runaways, starring Hollywood icon Kip Pardue.
Poor Kip, he's got to make choices. It's like Scorsese, Rennie Harlan. I'm going Rennie Harlan on this one. That's what I'm doing. That's where my money lies. Now, we're not going to get the full reviews here yet, but Bruce, as it lies now, first 5 episodes, what are your going-in impressions here of Marvel's Runaways?
I like it, man. It could easily turn into a Riverdale-type show, but it doesn't. It's kind of like a super-powered version of 90210, and I'll admit it, I really like 90210, because back in the day, I was more of a Brandon than a Dylan, mainly because I wasn't balding in high school. But anyway, I like it.
That's the best way to go about it. Sean?
The thing I have to say about the show, the biggest compliment I can give it is that it is way better than it has any right to be. They make the mistake of oh, well, there's this book with the source material. Let's not do any of that. And it still works. It's great. The people who are the showrunners on this show are doing a great job. And I like the show a lot, a surprising amount, in fact, because everything about the show leans to me hating it. But it's just terrific.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It looks really good. And again, we're getting to a point that I think is very, very interesting, be it Hulu, be it Netflix, be it Amazon. There are a lot of things out there to where, 10 years ago, we said, if we would have said, hey, some place like Netflix or Amazon is going to make, or, Hulu for this matter, is going to make a television show, and it's going to be as good, if not sometimes better, than what you're seeing on actual television or even pay television for that matter. You would have looked him in the face and just laughed and said, that's an absolute ridiculous idea. Get out of here. I will lock you up in some sort of home. But we're at that point, man. This belongs on any network television, and it's cool that it's not on network television, so they can kind of get away with a little bit more stuff. But it's not so, hardcore or anything that, people that are in the age range for this show could watch it and enjoy it, And I think that a lot of people are getting there. And I'll be honest, I'm not in that age range, but yet I am quite very much enjoying this program. And that's why next month we're going to review the last 5 episodes of this season, which will all be out by then. Give you plenty of time to check up on them. And we'll do that then and give you our full review of everything. How's that sound, guys?
Yeah.
All right.
I love it.
We will do that. In the meantime, Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet, sir?
Hey, I just want to say thanks to Apple Scruff for the awesome 5-star review of Nerd Spawn Genesis on Amazon. If you guys don't care, I'm just going to share what he said. It was real quick.
Please.
But he said, fast-paced, absurdly hilarious, action-packed yarn featuring my favorite team of superhero movie podcasters. In-jokes abound, but there's much to love in the vividly realized character versions of Sean, Bruce, and Adam. The seeds are planted for Volume 2, and I will be first in line to read it. Thank you, Bruce. And I say thank you, Apple Scruff. Hopefully some other folks will go over to Amazon, check out Nerd Spawn Genesis. The ebooks, $2.99. The paperbacks, $7.99, I think. But a lot of people probably got things like Kindles for Christmas, man. Go get that for your ebook. Read it, man. Check it out. Nerd Spawn Genesis. Some people already did have a little uptick on it after Christmas, and I want to say thanks for that.
And I just signed the books myself. That's me. And I'll sign your iPad, too, if you want that. I don't think you should, but awesome. I'll sign your iPad if you feel like it. Sean?
You can find my work on television. I am working on a show called The Quad, which is in its 2nd season. So look out for that. And also I have a TV movie called Dolly and Otto that I believe has just come out. So look for that as well.
So the Dolly, is it the Dolly in question? Is it the one I hope?
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's the goat.
I was hoping.
It's the goat.
Sorry, buddy.
I was hoping you were moving to Gatlinburg for that one.
It's just like I couldn't see. We're just doing over regular Skype. There's no video, but I could just see Bruce's heart breaking right there. Just go, oh no. Oh, well, all right.
In my mind, it should be called Porter Wagner Wood.
The true story of the unknown love affair between Dolly Parton and Otto von Bismarck.
It always happens that way. And, of course, my other show at The Film Find, thefilmfind.com. Check it out. New releases, man. We did a double duty last week, so we got a lot of new stuff out there and a lot of good programming out there. So check out that kind of stuff, man. Really appreciate it. We have no idea what we're doing next week because we forgot to talk about that before the show. We'll talk about that in the after show. And how do you get the after show, you ask? Why don't you go down to patreon.com/HMP and join up just like, we've had, I think 30 some odd people have, man. We really appreciate that. And, just kind of helps keep this train rolling, man. So that is it, everybody. Join us next week when we talk about whatever it is we decide. For Sean Keenan, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Portrais. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.